Okay, so now what you're going to do first, let's do a translation first. So remember, the mathematics behind translation is addition. We could do this with a matrices, but I decided to show you how to do it just with a slider so that you can see that you can do sliders just like Desmos does. So if you click this slider, this second button in from right here, I don't know what it defaults as, but click slider and then click in your graphics screen. And it's going to say, what do you want to call that slider? We're just going to call it A. So notice how it says, oh, it's a number between -5 and 5. You could change it to an angle or an integer. For now, let's just say, yep, make that slider. So you got to click the slider, and then click slider, and then click out in your home graphics area out here. So if you're on the slider tool, you just click out here, and it's going to make a slider. Okay? Now, in order to play with the slide, like you can, as long as you're clicked on this button, you can move this around, let's say, and change where it is. But you're usually going to want to be on this select arrow right here, so you're going to want to be on that move select arrow. And so now this is just a slider, just like it would be in Geogebra. Okay? Now, if the mathematics of translation is addition, think about, we could get this guy to, we could get your character or picture, whatever it is, to slide right. We could get it to translate right if we just increase the x's, right? So notice how point A and point B are what define this image. I can click in here now and edit this and change it to whatever I want. So I'm going to change the x value to not just -10 in mine, or whatever yours is, doesn't matter what the value is, plus A. And then the program knows what that slider value is. Okay, and then I'm going to go to point B's x value, and I'm going to change that to that, whatever the value is, also plus A. And now those points are defined through A. So if I drug A around, this is translation. If I wanted to do a reflection, reflect your character over, let's do that through a matrix. So down here, I want you to call the matrix, I don't know, R for reflection. Our reflection matrix is going to be equal to, let me blow up my font so you can see that a little bit better. It's a little better. Remember, we're going to use curly brackets. So what you can do is curly bracket. That's going to be like the whole matrix. And then within there, you want to define each row top down. So the first row for a reflection matrix is going to be -1, comma 0. That's row 1. So I made the first row -1, comma 0. And then I'm going to do a comma so it knows what row I'm on. So after you're done with a row, then you put comma, curly bracket. In the second row, we want 0, comma, +1. And then you just have to hit enter. After you're done kind of putting your stuff in there for this program, just hit enter, and it changes it into matrix form. Is that okay? So I double click on this. I can actually edit this right in here now, and it doesn't go back to that other notation. Now, for some reason you didn't get your curly bracket system to work for the matrix, there's another way to do it that's actually easier. I'll show you in a minute, but that's one way to enter a matrix in. Then they built in a function where you could multiply the matrices, essentially, so you could apply the matrix to the image easier. That function is called apply matrix. So you see how that pops up? And if you're reading this right here, see how it pops up? I start typing it in, all of the things that it could be pop up. It's a function, so it takes in parameters. So this first parameter is the matrix. What matrix are you multiplying it by? And what object are you doing it to? All right. Now, I should right-click on this picture. Do you know what this picture is called right now? If I right-click on it, it's called Pick One. I'm going to change it, and you can too. if you click rename, instead of pick 1, I'm going to call it P. So Shift P. Capital P for picture, just so it's easier to do the function to, so I don't have to type in pick 1 every time. So I'll go back here. You guys get that or no? So you right click on the image and click rename. So right click on this and click rename. And then rename it just capital P, and then I should call it image P. Then back to that function. So you're going to do apply matrix. So I'm going to click it, and it's going to highlight the matrix at the beginning. We called the matrix R. So I'm going to do Shift R. It's got to be capital. It does recognize case. It's case sensitive. It's case sensitive. So the first matrix that you want to multiply by is R. Then you can hit tab and tab over. That usually works. Oh, I don't know what just happened there. I guess I'm going to print that by accident. Well, whatever. I can just delete this out of here. I don't know what just happened. That's fine. If you can't highlight the word object, just delete the word out of there, and then you can type in P. We called the image P, so Shift P, and then I hit enter. Again, I would always suggest ending with enter. And now it's a reflection.
Mine isn't doing that.
Let me then pause, and I'll just kind of transformation matrices. So I'm going to do transformation matrices, and I did this ahead of time so we could do it quickly. But if I click the Wikipedia one, it's actually really good. Notice here there's matrices for stretching, squeezing, rotation, shearing, reflection. There's all kinds of stuff here. What I wanted to do next was talk about rotation. And this one's based on one of the identities we had done, the trig identities. It takes a long time to kind of walk through it. So all I'm going to do is show it to you here. Remember we said the mathematics of rotation are trigonometry. We said that a long time back, and now we're just revisiting it. But this matrix right here will rotate your object. So notice it's called cosine theta, sine theta, negative sine, cosine. I'll help you remember that, okay? We're going to go back to your program. You're listening, right? Okay. You need to go to View. And again, this is really where GeoGebra becomes extremely powerful, because there's all kinds of different worlds. It's like interoperability. It's got algebra, it's got geometry. We're going to use actually a spreadsheet. So you see right here it says spreadsheet?
Where'd you get view?
I clicked it.
Mine still saved.
View. It's like a little home. Look for the house. Look for the house. Then click spreadsheet. And a spreadsheet will pop up. Now, in this spreadsheet, we can actually make a matrix. Watch with me. Type in, the first one was sine theta. So we're going to do, oh, you know what? I'm sorry, hold on. We need to make a slider called something. So go into click in your graphics window. You got to be clicking your graphics to get these buttons. Click slider. And we're going to put a new slider in there. And we're going to click angle. Okay, so click angle. We want the slider to go from 0 to 360 degrees, like one full turn, right? I personally don't like names that are Greek letters, because then I got to get the keyboard up to get them. So I'm going to actually call this T for theta. I'll just call it T, letter T. Is that okay? And then I'm going to click OK. And notice how it's a degrees now. It's an angle, like theta. So in this first cell, I'm going to type, was it sine or cosine? Thank you. We can do this top one. Let's do cosine first. So we're going to do cosine, and then parenthesis of t. And it knows that t is this slider. So it should say 1, because the cosine of 0 is 1, right? But if I was to change this, notice that that changes the value of cosine t, right? Then right here I can type sine, right? Sine of t. Enter. Then for this one I can hit negative sine t, right?
Mine isn't doing this.
Negative sine. I'll pause here in a second. Let me just finish it for the video. And then for this one I'm going to type in cosine parenthesis t. Okay? And now look, when I pull this around, those cells adapt according to this slider. So now that you have these values in these cells, you can actually highlight the cells. That's like remember how we said a matrix is a spreadsheet? This is a 2x2 matrix that I just highlighted. So I can right click it after I highlight it. I can right click it after I highlight it and click create matrix.
Why is this breaking?
So if you right click on it, which is like a 2-finger fat click, and scroll down to create, then create a matrix, it just makes the matrix. Boom, matrix.
Okay, mine will only.
All right, then I'm going to pause here again in a second, but now we've made a rotation matrix, and it's like, well, what will that do?
It doesn't work.
This matrix, this matrix right here is called M1. So let's apply M1 to the picture. All right, and then again, I'll pause. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to type in apply matrix. So I got apply matrix.
No, you broke
I'm going to click that. It's going to say, what matrix do you want to apply? This is called M1. So lowercase m,
I'm a genius.
1. And then I'm going to tab over to object. I don't know why the tabbing for me is not working very well. That's okay. I can click here and just delete it out. And I'm going to apply that to my picture, which is called P. So I'm going to do Shift P and hit enter. And now my slider,
Mine won't let me select the table.
and now my slider rotates my image. And I'll pause for equations and things. We started playing around with different values. So check this out. If I click, let's say, in cosine, and it actually defines it through the cell names. So this B2 in the bottom right, for example, this means like, I think it was cosine. So you can do stuff to this. Like I could square this. So I hit Shift 6 and I'm going to square the cosine, right? And I just played around a little bit and just tried playing around with different things. But look at this. Like, whoa, what just happened to M. Gordon here? I don't know.
Wait, so how did you make it interact with your picture?
So again, what you can do is you can click in this field and you can mess with it. Like I could make it 2 times, whatever's in cell B1, I can double it. I can multiply it by 2 or something. And I just have to hit enter when I'm done. But remember, this will do different things. I just found that squaring it was pretty cool. And you can play around with different formulas on that. So now
It doesn't interact with my picture.
what do we got here? 8 minutes? There's other transformations you guys aren't even aware of. So if you click this Wikipedia article, stretching is something we've done, but not with a matrix for sure. If I click stretching, this is a stretching matrix. You could put a k value, some multiplier, like make a slider, call it k, and put it in your matrix at that point right there. Right? Or put it here and it will stretch by scale factor of k along the y-axis. And you can think about maybe why does it do that. Let's try shearing. I did that one earlier and it was pretty slick. So shearing, check this one out. If I click shearing, it says 1K01. Now instead of K, we already have a slider for A. So I'm just going to use A. So 1A01. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to make a new matrix. Let's just make it in the spreadsheet.
Where'd you? Mine still won't grab the image.
So
Issue.
yeah, and I'm almost done here. Instead of making this K like it was here, I'm going to make it A because I already have a slider A. So I'm going to make that A. And then I'm going to make this, what was that, 0? 0, 1? Good. And then I can do the same thing. I can now select that stuff, right click, create matrix, and it called that matrix M2. See this matrix M2? And then I'm going to do apply. I got to click that off. Then I could do, no. I don't know what's happening here.
Apply matrix. Right?
Apply matrix. And then I'm going to apply matrix M2. It's way down here in the corner. So I'm going to apply matrix M2, which was the shearing matrix, to the object, which is object P. And hit enter. And then notice if I move A around now, this is what shearing is. Isn't that interesting?
Y'all ever seen Orange Justice?
So that's what I wanted to get done today, and we've done it. Again, this will be